Hello and welcome to our latest fantasy edition by the Get Real Football Experts. Dave Kress here along with Louie. Louie, what's going on today?
Nothing much. Pretty good. Fantasy drafts are all pretty much in progression, so this video should help you.
Yeah, we're gonna go over some fantasy draft stuff. The official name for this thing is the Fantasy Draft Special. So let's dive right in, shall we?
Yes. All right. So let's kick this off by first talking about probably arguably the deepest position in fantasy, and that's quarterback. Dave, when would you personally take a quarterback in your draft, and what's the right time to take one in? Taking it early or maybe waiting this because it's such a deep position?
No, I'm gonna say probably around the fifth, sixth round. I mean, Matthew Barrett and all those other real ESPN analysts and all those good stuff.
NFL Network. NFL Network.
Okay, Michael Fabiano and all that good.
I like Michael Fabiano.
All that good stuff. They're saying you could wait to the 9th round, but even if you wait to the 5th round, you can still get 3 running backs, or 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and then you could get a good quarterback ahead of many people. You could even get a guy say, Tom Brady in the 5th round, and have a guy say McCoy. I don't want to get into it, but I mean that's still pretty good if you have 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a great QB. I'd personally go with that.
I would probably agree. I think you should wait, probably around round 5 or 6, like you said. But I would think that honestly, if you take one early, I think it's just a mistake because, like you said, you can go for some deeper positions. I might hesitate on taking a tight end ahead of a quarterback based on how thin tight end is. Honestly, the value is going to be much different. Quarterback, I think after Tony Romo drops a little bit with the Josh Freemans and Ben Roethlisbergers, I think around 5 or 6 is really good. You can arguably wait even longer and get an Eli Manning or a Tony Romo, which is just as good as a Russell Wilson to me, or as an Andrew Luck, in my opinion. So you can go in the 1st round with an Aaron Rodgers, but odds are your team will not be as built to win. I mean, your team will not be as deep, I think, without the other positions, because running back and tight end are very thin, and receiver is deeper though. So you might want to take a quarterback ahead, but I personally don't.
All right, I agree.
All right, so let's move on from quarterbacks. But Dave, personally, would you take a quarterback ahead of a tight end? Say Gronk and Jimmy Graham are gone. Would you consider a quarterback ahead of a tight end? Because I don't think I would. I think might still want to take a Jason Witten ahead of a top quarterback.
I don't know if it's a 5th round or even 6th. I might want to wait and see. I mean, if it's Graham, I might take him in the 4th round. Probably the highest for Graham. But still, yeah, other than those 2, I don't think I would, really.
Alright, so let's move on from that. Let's get over to the wide receivers now. We're going to talk about the best receiver in fantasy, arguably, of course, but, I mean, he was the best last year scoring-wise. Calvin Johnson from the Detroit Lions. Dave, is he a 1st-round pick to you? Do you think that people should not take a running back and maybe go Calvin Johnson later in the 1st round?
That's a good question. Now, maybe if they're around 9 or 10 in the 1st, or maybe even 8, because say you have the 9th pick in the draft, and you take Calvin Johnson there.
Yeah.
And the first 8 picks are all running back. So Peterson's gone, Foster's gone, Lynch is gone, Ray Rice is gone, Spiller's gone, Charles is gone, and let's go with, who's that other guy that I'm missing up there?
For running back?
Yeah, up the top. Oh, Doug Martin.
Doug Martin, yeah.
Alright, so those 7. And then you go with the running back. Oh, wait, 8. So let's go with then LeSean McCoy at 9. Actually, I'd prefer Trent Richardson there, so let's go with Richardson.
Either one, I think.
And then you go there, and the next guy takes. They go back-to-back picks, and they go with McCoy and Morris. I mean, that's where you might want to think. Do you go with Forte there as your number 1? But if you have the 10th overall, I think definitely, because
I would take Calvin though.
Yeah, because you can take him. Then
back-to-back picks, yeah.
Yeah, then you can draft Morris or whoever falls there, and then this 3rd round get a guy like a little late in the 3rd round, so you'll probably get a guy like Reggie Bush.
I think honestly, if you want to go back to, I think if you were deciding between a Matt Forte guy, I think you honestly could pass on something like that and get Calvin, and the production of the guy you get in the 2nd round, say you take him, because you're definitely not going no running back with your first 2 picks. I think you're at least getting one. Then in the second round, odds are you're gonna have a late round pick if you're taking Calvin. Like you said, you get another guy. You get like one of you can maybe get a Forte there. I think the value it's a better value pick personally. I think that it's a much better pick. If you have 10 for sure, you go Calvin, then you go a really good running back right there, like an Alfred Morris or whoever just fell out of the first round. Personally, I think Calvin's gonna be a really good player. I mean, you can't deny. I mean, the points per game will definitely progress. But again, running back is thin. If you're definitely top 5, there's no way you're taking a receiver, to me, a quarterback. But then maybe after that, after probably 6 or 7, it's debatable. But I think Calvin should be a first round pick, late first round, and then clearly high second if he doesn't. All right. So let's move on from that. Let's go to the name game. We're gonna do a little segment of this. We're gonna do a better player for each. I'm gonna name some players. Dave, you tell me which one's better. Alfred Morris or Trent Richardson?
That's a great pause. I'm gonna go with Trent Richardson here. I mean, sure, he's more debatable, but so they both have their question marks there. I would expect that both are gonna get a large workhorse because both teams are gonna rely on them more. The Redskins will trying to help RG3 stay healthy now, and he's just the whole Browns offense pretty much. So both going to be like that, but I feel that Morris really hit the. I don't think he'll do better than last year, and I mean I don't know. I mean we can see Richardson go, just like what Morris did, or even more, but he's just got to stay healthy.
I definitely agree with you. I think it's Richardson as well for pretty much everything you said are spot on. All right, let's go quarterback now. Matt Ryan or Andrew Luck?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to have to go with Matt Ryan here.
Good. I like that too.
Even though Matt Ryan he had probably his career year in fantasy last year, and even if he doesn't go over that this year, I don't know too much about Andrew Luck. He has good receivers around him, and now a good running back with Ahmad Bradshaw who could catch out of the backfield and will help him on blocking. But I think he'll take a step back as well, and with Matt Ryan's receivers with Julio Jones, Roddy White, and now a running back who can catch out of the backfield, and Steven Jackson and Tony Gonzalez back for a year. I think Ryan's just set up for success.
Yeah, the weapons are undeniable for the Falcons. Plus, you got to keep in mind that Matt Ryan doesn't turn the football over a lot. Andrew Luck did last year, so he had quite a few interceptions. I'm not sure exactly how many.
Who, Matt Ryan?
Andrew Luck.
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably going to say Matt Ryan for the weapons, which you cannot not produce with all those guys.
Oh, yeah.
At 2 top 10 receivers, and then the best tight end arguably of all time, personally, I think it is. I agree with you that it's a little bit of an unknown still with Andrew Luck. I want to see more out of him. Mm-hmm. But I think both are going to be very solid fantasy starters. So let's go to tight end now. Jason Witten at the Cowboys or Tony Gonzalez at the Falcons?
I'm going to go with Jason Witten here. That's where I have him by ranks. I have Witten at 3, Gonzalez at 4. I feel that Romo looks for both quarterbacks rely on their tight ends, but I feel Romo looks to Witten more. I'm not sure exactly what his stats were, and then Louie, if you could pull those up right now.
Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got him.
Or Witten. Both are good, but
Tony Gonzalez.
There's more around them than there's more around Gonzalez than there is around Witten. And last year Romo really relied on him. He was I think he was the only tight end with 1,000 yards. Jason Witten.
Yes.
If he could just get in the end zone more, he'd be dominant, maybe even a top 2. But if you look at him last year, he had 110 receptions for 1,039 yards.
Average 9 yards a catch. That's impressive.
But only 3 touchdowns. Yeah. So if he could get that up to maybe 6 or 7, I might consider him over an injury-prone Gronk.
This is pretty tough. I mean, the numbers are very similar with the 93 receptions for Gonzalez and 930 yards, 8 touchdowns to Witten's 110 catches, 1,000 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I would personally say, Witten as well based on the yards and receptions, but 5 more touchdowns is a lot. And like you said, I want to see Witten get in the end zone more, and I think he will definitely be. I think he's the 3rd best tight end as of right now, and Gronk is going to be hurt, so who knows? He might even jump ahead of him if Gronk does not play a lot. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back to running back. We'll do a couple more. DeMarco Murray or Darren McFadden, two injury-prone running backs that really have a lot of potential?
I'm going to go with Murray here. You hit it spot on where you said both injury-prone, but both a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But I think there's way more potential in DeMarco Murray than there is with Darren McFadden. Even when McFadden's on the field, he's very inconsistent fantasy-wise. I owned him last year, and it was not very fun. And Murray, I mean, sure, he's injury-prone, but when he's out there, he's going to produce. And he's still... if I had to pick one to stay healthy... all 16 games this year, definitely Murray.
Yeah, I think it's not even close based on health-wise, but I'm nervous about both. I definitely wouldn't want either as my number 2, more of a flex option.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, one more of this part of the name game. I'm going to go to receiver. Dez Bryant or Brandon Marshall?
Well, I'm a little biased to Brandon Marshall because I'm keeping him.
True.
But it kind of depends. What kind of league is this? Is it a...
If it's PPR, I think it's definitely Marshall.
Yeah, if it's
right?
PPR, it's Marshall.
If it's a basic league...
Is it standard? But
I would still lean towards Marshall, personally. Because
but is it punt returning yards, too? Because Dez punt returns.
Yeah. If that's it, too, then maybe Dez. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think I might have to go with Marshall here. He's going to get more targets here. Other than Martellus Bennett now, who they got, and Matt Forte, there's not too many other huge options there. Big options for Jay Cutler there, and he really looked towards Marshall last year, and it worked. I really like Marshall, not just because I own him, but because I just like the way he plays. I like how he can just make catches in coverage and all that. So I'm going to go with Marshall here. I think he can do exactly what he did last year.
I definitely agree with you. So let's do the next part of the name game.
All right. I'm going to say a player's name, and you are going to tell me where you think they should be drafted.
Okay.
I'll start out with...
This is a non-keeper league, correct?
Non-keeper league.
Cool.
Reggie Bush.
I would say 3rd round.
Alright. I mean, I think I could agree, but I don't think he'd be that bad of a pick if you saw him go late 2nd.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, definitely. I mean, around that spot, I think he definitely fits in as a low-end number 2, high-end flex.
Yeah. Martellus Bennett.
I would probably go... I think tight ends like Gronk and Graham should be going in probably the 3rd. I'd say 7th round. I think he's a big sleeper, and I think you should definitely consider him over guys like Brandon Myers. And I think I would probably say 7th or 8th round around, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree. How about Matt Stafford?
I would go 5th round. I think there's a lot of guys better than him, but with the Lions, how much they throw the football and having Calvin Johnson in that connection, he keeps coming close to over 5,000 yards every season. I mean, the attempts are incredible. I would go 5th round. Definitely comfortable with him as my number 1 quarterback.
Where is Matt Stafford in your ranks amongst quarterbacks?
I'm probably putting him around. I mean, I'm not sure if he's a top 10. Because definitely you have the top 3 to me. You have the top 5, which is obviously Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, Newton, and Manning. And then, I mean, he's right there with, I mean, plus I think, I said Cam. He's right next to Luck and Matt Ryan and RG3 and Wilson. I would probably put him ahead of Russell Wilson and RG3 right now. So I would probably say maybe 7 or 8. I'm big on Matt Stafford this year.
Yeah, I'd have him at 8. I have... Well, the same top 5 going Rodgers, Breeze, Newton, Manning, Brady. Then I have Matt Ryan, Colin Kaepernick.
Ooh, right, Kaepernick. So I would still probably say around 8.
And then Matt Stafford. I like him better than Wilson and better than all those 3 second-year quarterbacks. So
do you like him better than Tony Romo?
Yeah. I like all 3 of those quarterbacks better than Tony Romo.
Agreed.
All right, so we go to another quarterback. This one will be drafted a little bit earlier, but Aaron Rodgers.
3rd round. I don't believe in taking quarterbacks high, but if you're going to take one, it is Aaron Rodgers. So actually, I'm going to change that. I'll say 2nd round, but at the end of the 2nd round. I do not think the quarterback should be going in the first beginning round, the whole entire 1st round in the beginning of the 2nd. I say a low-end 2nd round pick.
All right, you know how we talked about Calvin a few minutes ago and we both kind of said if you have the 10th pick, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
If you substitute Calvin Johnson for Aaron Rodgers there, and you still end up with a guy like Morris and Rodgers?
Then I would probably consider that just as much as Calvin because I mean that's a really good tandem, and I think receivers deep, so you can wait on that and then go get your second guy. I could definitely see that just as much as Calvin, but I just think you're best getting your two running backs or a running back and receiver and waiting on quarterback because of how deep it is. This year it's super deep. So I mean, but that's definitely I can see that. Yeah, I would definitely be comfortable with that.
I agree. All right, so how about another guy? I'll go with receiver now, Marquise Colston.
Fourth round. He's a number one receiver in his team. He's a consistent 1,000-yard guy, but he's on and off, which is a little thing. Like 1 week he'll have like against San Diego, he had 31 points, and then he'll have a 7-point game, and then he'll have a 13, and then a 5. He's really inconsistent based on how Breeze spreads the football. I say a fourth round pick. He's a great number 2 receiver, and if you wait, he's a lower number 1 in my opinion. And if you have him as a flex, you're in a very good spot.
How about I'll go with here. I don't know what you like best. It's mostly personal preference.
True.
Where do you think the first defense should be?
I'd probably say 13th round.
13th for defense?
49ers and Seahawks I think are definitely worth it. But depends on how your scoring is as well. I'd say 13th or 14th round. It should be one of the last rounds, but I could definitely see him in the 13th. Taking a defense early, I mean, honestly, you could. To me, I'm gonna have. I mean, you could honestly have a different defense every week based on matchups. That's personally what I did last season. You can get the Patriots when they picked up the Patriots when they were against the Jets, and at the same time you can have the Chiefs if they're against the Jaguars. So I think later rounds based on you can do a rotation. That's what I do.
Yeah, I could agree with that, but maybe if you could go up in like the 10th round and grab one of the best defenses like the Seahawks or the 49ers, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Personally, it's not my favorite thing to do. I would wait. But I think both those defenses are definitely worth it because they're going to be shut down this season.
All right, I'll go one final one.
All right.
Let's try to make it good, and I'll say Jonathan Stewart.
Ooh.
I want to go with one more after this.
Yeah.
I got one after this.
Ugh, Panthers running backs. 8th, 9th round, 10th. I would probably say 10th round.
You're saying yuck.
He's got a big upside because if he gets the football, he can be electric. But he can't stay healthy, and he is in a loaded backfield where his quarterback is the leading rusher, and you have D'Angelo Williams and Mike Tolbert. Stay away from Carolina, but if you have it at pure as bench depth, which arguably you're not starting a Panthers guy in your lineup, 10th or 11th round is arguably where you should be.
You said yuck about him. I don't know. I want to see what you're going to say about the next guy, which is Ryan Matthews.
I can't stand him.
Why?
He's so unreliable. I have hard feelings against him. But because of the high upside, if he stays healthy, I mean, there's so many guys that potential could be, huge if they just stay healthy. I would say he's definitely not better than Murray and McFadden, so I would take a chance on him in the 6th round, 6th or 7th round. But this is based purely on he's definitely not your number 1 running back. He's a flex option, your number 3 running back. Then you can definitely take a chance on him. I think 6th or 7th round is around where he should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'd take him as my 4th or 5th.
Yeah, I mean, he's a low end 3 because if he stays healthy, 2 years ago he was in 1,000-yard rusher. So I mean, he has the talent. It's just the kid can't stay healthy. So I mean, he's going to be huge in the passing game this year because now Malcolm Floyd, by the way, went down today.
Yep.
And Janairo Alexander's gone, and I'm sure Gates will battle his injuries this year. He's the main focal point of the offense. So if he can stay healthy, it's pretty big.
What about Danny Woodhead's there?
That's true as well, but I still like Matthews big time if he stays healthy. But I have no faith that he'll do that, hence why I have him so deep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't rely on the guy. He's always been inconsistent. He never stays healthy, and I mean, it's a waste of talent to me because he could be a huge fantasy player, but he just never seems to be.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, let's move off from the name game, and now we're going to talk about some rookies. The Bills have E.J. Manuel. They got in the 1st round. Geno Smith is a New York Jet. Mike Glennon, a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Some of the guys that might get playing time. Also Tyler Wilson. Can you trust any rookie quarterback to be on your roster and to be drafted in your fantasy draft?
excuse me. Tyler Wilson's not gonna play. So you can scratch him off the list. Mike Glennon, if he plays, he's not gonna be relevant enough by the time he does play, because he's not even in contention for the starting job. So you can scratch him off for this year. I'm not saying down the road, but
yeah, I'm talking about this year.
Yeah,
so that's a good point.
Geno Smith, I know that he'll get playing time, but I can just tell that Mark Sanchez is going to start. I just have a feeling that he is. But E.J. Manuel for Buffalo is going to start. It's pretty much, I think it should happen. Cobb hasn't been looking very good. And maybe as a backup, if he impresses, and if not as a backup, I can see him as a waiver wire pickup to be your backup. I can see him having a great year this year in fantasy, like maybe RG3 did last year.
I would be totally comfortable with E.J. Manuel as my backup. I'm huge on Manuel this season. The preseason first game only doesn't do enough so far for many people, but I believe that he's going to be big this year. I mean, he's definitely not a starter, but like you said, a waiver wire pickup's good. But I would definitely take a chance on him with one of my later picks, because you can take a chance on him, but if he doesn't pan out, you can still drop him and go in the waivers and pick up an Andy Dalton or a Matt Schaub. So to me, I might take the chance on him and get him on my roster just in case, because you never know. Look at some of what the rookies did. He could be huge. Geno Smith, not me. I think, like you said, I have a feeling as well Sanchez is going to be starting, and even if Geno Smith comes in, he's coming into a bad situation.
Well, what about this? When do you think that you should draft? Do you think you need a backup quarterback this year?
No, you don't. And you definitely, if you can, but it depends on what your starting quarterback is.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an Aaron Rodgers, one of those guys, definitely not. You can just go get a guy, like I said, like a Joe Flacco in free agency. But if you have somebody like Tony Romo or Andrew Luck or Russell or RG3, I think you need to pick one up because of the injury concerns and plus turnovers, and you don't know how they're going to pan out. I would think so, but I personally, I mean, it depends. Would you rather have a really solid backup quarterback or just another running back that probably will not be on your roster for that much long?
Well, if I have Kaepernick, I'm going to want to go with backup. But if I have, like, even Tom Brady, who's
I wouldn't need one. You don't have to worry about that. So. But with Manuel, I think you could take a chance there because, like I said, you can just go get a guy if he doesn't work out. But I just feel like you just want to have him just in case because of how the rookies have been playing over the past couple of years. So I mean, you never know. So I definitely think you can rely on him. And I mean, yeah, it depends for backup quarterbacks. But I mean, arguably you don't need one. But I personally it all depends on your situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on from quarterbacks. Many teams have many talented running backs that end up hogging a lot of the carries. They just split them, and none of the guys are very relevant. Arguably, the Saints, Panthers, Broncos, just etc. Some of the examples, Dave, out of the teams in the NFL, what team or what two teams do you definitely want to avoid their running backs for fantasy as not reliable players?
Definitely the Panthers. I mean, we said that when the quarterback's the leading rusher, that's not a good sign. It's loaded back there. Hasn't been good in fantasy for the past few years, and it's not going to be good this year. I might stay away from first I'll go with the Saints, another one, because Sproles is the starter, but he doesn't take rushes a lot. He just receives. Ingram's never proven himself. Pierre Thomas has never outshined. Ivory's now gone, so
Ingram could be a breakout candidate, but
he doesn't get the ball enough to do it.
Exactly.
But here's an interesting team. Maybe the Broncos I might want to stay away from because as of now there's no clear-cut starter, and even if Monty Ball gets the starting, we don't know how great he's going to be. With him, Hillman, and Marino all there, I don't feel too sure about going there. Drafting there unless you handcuff a guy like Monty Ball with Ronnie Hillman.
The Panthers I'm not bothering with, like you said. I mean, when the quarterback's your rushing, something wrong. The Saints, honestly, I actually might like because I think that Darren Sproles is going to be a very consistent player, and I think Mark Ingram could break out if he gets the ball. I think Pierre Thomas, right now, he's listed as the next guy next to Sproles, but I think his time, honestly, I think is limited. I think they're going to go with the Ingram-Sproles 1-2 punch. I think that actually might be interesting. The Broncos, I agree with you. I think that it's a concern, but again, I would like to have Monty Ball as my third guy or fourth, and handcuff him with a Hillman or no Sean Marino. I might not stay away from them, but I'm definitely staying away from Carolina. And another place I'm staying away from is Arizona. With Rashard Mendenhall, yeah, he's a starter, but they really like what they have in Ryan Williams, who just really can't stay healthy, and they really expect him to be big this year. They have Stephon Taylor from Stanford coming in.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty consistent in college. And then Andre Ellington, the guy from Clemson, looked very good in college. He's fast, he's athletic, can catch out of the backfield. They're going to have a lot of rotations as well, and honestly, I don't think Mendenhall and Williams stay healthy, so that's another place I'm staying away from.
All right, now let's go into some sleepers here.
Yes.
First, give me a sleeper.
Well, one sleeper is, but not really a sleeper because everybody knows about him. Le'Veon Bell. I think he's going to be a huge part of the Steelers' offense. He's the main focal guy. I don't think Redmond or Boyer is any concern. Laurent Stevenson looked pretty impressive in the preseason, but I think Le'Veon Bell's a very consistent guy. He's, to me, a high on number 3. Honestly, he might be able to move in as a number 2, but as of right now, some people might be sleeping on him based on if he falls in the draft.
I'm going to go with, I don't want to be boring here, so I'm going to go with Daryl Richardson.
Good.
I mean,
like
that's alright, because Lamar Miller's not a sleeper
yeah,
anymore.
that's what
He's
I was
not a
thinking as
sleeper.
well.
He's been hyped up way too much. He's not a sleeper anymore.
No, agreed.
So Daryl Richardson, he's basically at the starting job. Isaiah Pete's suspended the first game, and he fumbled in the first preseason game. And who was the other guy?
Zach Stacy's not really worried about.
You're not. Yeah, I'm not worried about.
He's
Zach
a
Stacy
possession
either.
running back that doesn't have that athletic ability.
Yeah, so I think Richardson's going to be good. The team likes him. Clearly, they drafted him in the 7th round last year. So I think he's gonna get a lot of rushes. He's gonna fill in what Steven Jackson did there. So I'm gonna go with Richardson.
Yeah. So now give me a deep sleeper that people are not talking about a lot, but could make a big impact.
I'm trying to think if I already said him. I'm trying to think if there's a better guy. Why not? I'll go with Reuben Randall of the New York Giants. I think he could be a lot better receiver than people would think. Here, Hakeem Nexie gets injured a pretty good amount, and if he's hurt, Randall steps up into his spot, and if not, he's still going to be targeted by Eli. Eli spreads the ball around. He could play a role like Manningham played in the Super Bowl year last time they won it. So I think he's going to be good. Maybe as a 4th receiver could be good. Maybe even a low-end flex play.
I'm going to go with Robert Woods, the rookie from Buffalo. I think that he looked very good in the preseason. I think Steve Johnson is, definitely going to get his receptions, but he looks very well. He's fast. He's a physical player. And Manuel really, I think, looks to him so far from what I've seen at camp and at preseason. I think Robert Woods might be able to a waiver wire pickup and actually might be a consistent red zone player that'll be, to me, maybe a pickup. I think and not a lot of people are talking about him. Obviously, there's a lot of receivers that were drafted, like Tavon Austin. He could be a pretty productive fantasy player this year, in my opinion.
All right. How about you give me a deeper sleeper, or should I go?
Give me a deeper sleeper that nobody's talking about and might be able to creep up in the depth chart and maybe make an impact.
All right. Well, this is a deep sleeper. Call me crazy, but I'm gonna say LeGarrette Blount of the Patriots. I don't want to be like overreactions here because he looked very good in the week 1
fantasy overreactions
in the preseason game against the Eagles. But he had 2 rushing touchdowns. One, I believe, was a 51-yarder.
Which was absurd.
And if the team needs, what the team needs in their running back duo is some size. Ridley's pretty powerful, but he's still not very big.
No, he's not.
So Ridley, Brandon Bolden's not really big, and neither is Shane Vereen. So I think they're going to cut Bolden here.
Agreed.
And maybe you could see LeGarrette Blount move up to the 2nd spot on the depth chart and running back and make a big impact and find a spot on your roster.
That definitely, honestly, could happen because they a lot of time might line up Shane Vereen as a receiver. So you might have LeGarrette Blount lined up as that number 2 guy. A deep sleeper I have, and one guy I was thinking, but I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to go Dominic Hickson from the Carolina Panthers. I was thinking Stedman Bailey of the St. Louis Rams, but I realized how deep that receiver spot is for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Hickson's actually going to play a big role in Carolina's offense. Brandon LaFell is the number 2 as of right now with Steve Smith. But Dominic Hickson's going to get a lot of playing time, and he's a good, he can line up in the slot. He's a very good wideout as well. He was pretty productive in New York as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, that's what he's been battling.
Exactly, but I think he's a possession receiver that I think will honestly look to a lot, and he's just got to beat out Ted Ginn, but I definitely think he's a deep sleeper that no one's counting. I think people don't even remember know he's in Carolina, but He's going to be a very good receiver, I think.
And isn't it Ted Ginn Jr.?
Yes.
Well, also Hickson kick returns. I don't know if he's going to kick return in Carolina. So if your league does that, that's just going to make him even better.
Yep. All right. So last pot for the draft special is injuries, Dave. A lot of injuries for veterans. What are a couple of the biggest ones based on fantasy-wise? Who are the biggest injuries that are really going to make a huge impact on your draft?
Well, now Percy Harvin's gone, and I was looking forward to drafting him.
Agreed. Me too.
So that's pretty. That's a bummer that he's gone. Another guy, Denario Alexander. I would have liked him to have like a fourth receiver, maybe third. He was good. Wow. Jeremy Maclin was going to be a good receiver too for the Eagles, but the Eagles have so many injuries now, right? Yep. The tight end position got even thinner with Dennis Pettigon. So, I mean...
Crabtree.
Well, that was a while ago, but what do you think about the Eagles receiving core? Do you think this makes Deshaun Jackson now into a better role with them? I mean, we saw him and Vic connect on a 47-yard touchdown bomb in week 1 of the preseason.
I definitely think Deshaun's a number 4 on your team, but it definitely helps him based on receptions. But from what I saw of the Eagles, nobody had more than 3 targets with Vic and Foles out there. Jason Avant had 3 for 44 yards. I'm just scared because they're going to spread the football so much, and they have 3 tight ends. They're going to be running a lot of 3 tight end sets. I think you should avoid the Eagles' offense. Besides, for receiving wise, Deshaun Jackson's a very good. Plus, he punt returns. And he's going to be a big part of the offense based on his physical ability and what he definitely fits the offense. He's the only guy, but they're going to be spreading the football around a ton. Plus, running the football, they're going to be doing a lot with LeSean McCoy, who also can catch. I would stay away from Philadelphia, personally, with Maclin injured. And it's a huge blow at Percy Harvin. But, I mean, it's... Honestly, I was definitely thinking of drafting Harvin, but... I mean, the biggest one, I think, to me is Dennis Pitta because how bad tight end is, and now that just takes one more player out of it, that after Vernon Davis, it just completely just falls off from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Gary Football Experts Fantasy Draft Edition. We'll be back next with a Week 2 recap podcast. Also, we'll have some new schedule rundowns going up, and we're debating for fantasy if we should do a league just between us two. But we'll give you an update on that. So be sure to follow us on Twitter for more for all sports update and find out what's going on. Me at Dave Cross Sports, Louie at DB Sports Talk. Be sure to rate comments on our YouTube page. We love comments. We love rates, even if they're negative.
True.
And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. Always happy to do that. And check out our blog, which is pretty much our home central now. GetRealFootballExperts.blogspot.com. Find out more. But for now, I think we're done here.
Thanks, football fans. It's been real.